It is Dukes and Bell. We're live at SEC Media Days and back at our Midtown studio. We want to bring in and welcome into the program Dwight Howard, who joins us live here on the show. And Dwight, first and foremost, man, let us say this from this program, Dukes and Bell. We've been talking about you for months, and we were clamoring. I was saying, this is the guy we need to get. This is the guy we want. And everybody was kind of like, I don't know. Well, I don't know if it'll happen. And now that it has, Atlanta is excited, man. So first and foremost, thanks for signing in the ATL. We're excited to have you, and congratulations.
Man, thank you, man. It's a great feeling, to come home and, to feel, just loved, and not loved because of the basketball player, but because of, being family, So, just a great feeling of being at home. The press conference today was amazing. Just going back to my roots, and the place we had the press conference at was the place that I used to train at, and we played our high school games there growing up. So it was just very emotional day.
And I know you were joking around, Dwight, about, there'll be memes on social media. You were getting emotional. What took you so long to get home, my man? That's the question.
Well, I just think that it's all about timing. 3 years ago when we had the meeting with the Hawks, I went back to my agent and I said, you know what? I really like the coach. I really like Bud. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great coach, and he's going to be special. And, I just said, I don't think that, I'm ready to go back home. And, it just seemed like it all worked out, at the right time. The way that the team is headed, the new era that this team is going into with the new management. I had a chance to sit down with the head owner a couple of days ago, and just his vision, not just for the team but for the city, and, how passionate he is about wanting to make Atlanta, a really great place. I think a lot of people are starting to move to Atlanta. Atlanta's really starting to boom. But just to have an owner who has a great vision, not only for on the court but off the court, is something that I've really been praying for my whole career. And for it to be my hometown team, it's just a blessing.
Dwight Howard joining us here on Dukes and Bell. I got a lot of friends in the media, man, that have covered you, and I know how fun-loving you can be, and when you're having a good time. And I don't know if it's been that way for you over the last few years. I want to ask you what's changed with you. I've been telling people, I said, look, this guy is 30. He's gotten some bad press, some bad rap. All this stuff that people have talked about hadn't been his fault. And I've been telling Atlanta that for weeks now. What has changed with you, and why did it change from a personal standpoint?
Well, I just think that as you get older, life starts to slow down, and you start to see a lot of things different. And, as a person, the things that I would do in the community, the person I was in Orlando, I was the same way, that I've been in Orlando till now, as far as in the community, spending time with kids, just a fun-loving guy. I've always been that guy. And I think from a basketball standpoint, when people would watch games and, they would see me not smile and not having a good time like I normally would have, then they would take that and twist that into me not being a great person or, a cancer to a team and stuff like that. And, that kind of really hurt me, So after the season, I just did, some real soul searching. Spent some time, with my mom, my dad, just talking to them and, really trying to get our relationship, as strong as I wanted it to be. And, it's been a process, and I started this process of really trying to, change myself, change how people view me. And, there's always going to be people who are naysayers, who have negative things to say about you. And that's usually what you hear nowadays, is all the negative stuff. But, in actuality, you have more people that's praying for you, more people that's happy for you. And those are the ones that are solid, who pray for you behind closed doors. And when they see you, that's when they tell you how grateful they are, So that kind of really it's helped me through the years, and just me and my family and the process that we went through to where we're together now as a family. We're in a better place I think it's going to really pay dividends on and off the floor. And, for me to able to really be around my children as much as I have been in the past couple of years, it's like I said, the perfect time of being home.
It's Dwight Howard, the newest member of our Atlanta Hawks, with us live as we're in Birmingham. We didn't know he was going to sign, otherwise we'd be in Atlanta talking to the man face to face. Dwight, we talked about everything you just touched on came to the forefront in that TNT interview when you were in studio with Kenny the Jet Smith and Charles Barkley. Did you know they were going to go down that road? Because you really opened up like we've never heard you do before.
I had no clue that they were going to do that. And, I've always wanted to have an opportunity to really open up for the world. But, I was just afraid of what would happen, afraid of, anything negative. And then when I got up there and they were talking to me, there were two ways, I could have went about it. And one was the angry way. And, I used to watch these guys on TV, and I used to get upset at things that they were saying. And instead of being combative and, talking to them in any kind of way, I just want to express who I was, as a person and a player. And, I had no clue none of that stuff was going to happen. They told me we were going to talk about the Spurs and OKC and Golden State, and then we end up having a 25-minute intervention, as they would call it, which actually ended up I thought was really good. And after that, a lot of people were sending me messages through Instagram, direct messages, telling me, hey, I hated you before for no reason, but now, I see a different person in you. So, it was great. It was great to hear that, to see that. And, I think it really put things in perspective by going on the show.
Yeah, man. And bro, we wish we could be there in studio with you. We're going to get a chance to catch up with you, because we're here at SEC Media Days. You're from the South. You know how big football is. But so we're down here covering this thing, and Saban today was here. But the fact of the matter is we're happy to have you. It's a homecoming for you.
Sir.
And we're excited. And I can't tell you, people I'm running around in Atlanta, if everybody's like, you think it's going to happen? And then when it did, everybody's like, are you serious? It really happened? So people were tripping. They really didn't believe that you were going to make this move.
I mean, to be honest, I met with one team, and that was the Hawks. I sat down with the coach and the GM, and we talked about the vision, for the city, for the arena, for the team. And then I sat down with the coach, and we had a 45-minute to an hour talk, and it was more so about life. And, the thing that I saw, in him that really, had me want to be coached by him is just the fact that he reminded me of one of the best coaches I've ever had, which was Stan Van Gundy. And, just the way he's passionate about the game and, just somebody that I can learn from, and that's going to push me every single day. And that it's a coach that he doesn't care who the star player is, who the role player is. He's going to treat everybody the same. And, that was big for me. But after I talked with him, I went and sat with my agent. And, I just said, you know what? I don't need to meet with any other teams. I don't need to see anybody else. This is my home. I think it's time for me to come home. And I told him, let's get the deal done.
Well, we can't wait to see you at Phillips Arena drive a little pick and roll with German chocolate, as we call him, Dennis Schroeder.
Oh, man,
How do you see that? How do you see that evolving?
German chocolate and chocolate shoulders. So that's going to be great, man. I've been watching the kid play since he came into the league, and I really like him. He's strong. He's big for a point guard, and he reminds me of a bigger Rondo. The way he rebounds, the way he passes the ball. And, he's very smart. And I think that combination of speed, skills, and, just, having that edge on the court, it's going to make our team deadly. Him attacking the rim, Bazemore, Corver, Tim Hardaway Jr., just all those guys who can shoot the three, it's going to make it very difficult for teams to really guard. And, I'm super excited. I've been training all summer, and, I just can't wait to go out there and, and play for my city.
D, one of the things that I tried to do in defending, this move and bringing you in to Atlanta is a lot of guys are like, man, Dwight, is he going to break down? And I said, when we got you on, I wanted to ask you first, how is your back and your health? And secondly, what are you doing to maintain your health through a season?
Well, see, I think there was, this big misconception that I was playing hurt. And I would say the hurt was more mental than it was physical. Because physically I felt great. I had those times during the season where I might have tweaked my ankle in the game. But other than that, I felt really good. And I just think I was in a different type of situation. And, that chapter is over with, thank God. And, I'm looking forward to this new chapter. But, I've been really training all summer. I met with a guy who has trained some great Hall of Famers in his time with Grant Hill, Shaquille O'Neal, and he's extended their careers. And the fact that I'm 30 years old, I came in at 18. I feel good. I don't feel like a guy that's been playing 13 years of basketball. And, I don't think there will be any breakdowns this year because I think it starts in the head. I think mentally I'm in a different place, which will give my body, more life. I went back and looked at a lot of clips of myself in the past year or so, and since my mental game was down, and I'm not afraid to say that, my mental game was down, so my shoulders were slumped and everything was different. But I'm in a better place in life, and I went back and saw my shoulders in the mirror the other day, and they were back upright, and I was happy about that. So I'm glad that chapter is over with. It taught me a lot, taught me how to really endure and have patience. And, I'm just happy that, the Hawks organization, that they believed enough in me to make me their number one priority this summer. So I want to give everything I have, not only for this team, but for this city. But most importantly, I want to give it for myself, because, I've worked extremely hard, to be able to play for 13 seasons. And, right now for me, it's all about winning and dominating. And that's all I bring to the city.
Excited to have a big free agent, have a star, and have star power in Phillips Arena. Dwight Howard's with us here on the flagship of the Hawks, 92.9 The Game. You mentioned the mental aspect. Nothing more mental than free throws. Now, we heard the NBA, Dwight, has tweaked that sort of hack the big man. I won't say hack a Shaq, but hack the big man rule. How was the free throw shooting coming along? I know you've been working with some folks on that, too.
Well, I don't think it's a concern for me. Like I said, it was all mental. And, the thing for me is just breaking that mental barrier. Because I practice too much. I spend a lot of time in the gym every single day, not just on free throws, but becoming a better player. And now I have to really take that to the games, and it starts mentally. And I think this should be different. It should be a lot different. I've been working extremely hard. You've seen a couple videos on my Instagram of me working. Yeah. And, it's something that I would do all summer. But I think this summer will be different because of the approach that I have and really just a new mindset.
D, you've been different places in the league. I want to bring you're home now. Are you a leader?
Well, yeah. Actually, it was crazy you say that. As I was walking into my basketball camp, one of my great uncles, his name is Uncle Bumpy. You from the country when you got an uncle named Bumpy.
No doubt.
So my Uncle Bumpy, he looks at me and he says, Dwight, Howard means leader. And you a leader. And, I said, I've been a leader. He said, no, you've been a quiet leader. He said, but now it's time for you to step up and be that real leader. And, that just from him, it's one person in my family and all the people who trained me and just the guys on the team who reached out, it's like they're going to look for that from me. And I think I'm at a place where, I can really be who I've been called to be, So I'm super excited. I'm ready. Me and Bays had an emotional day today. At the press conference. So I think you got two guys that are super emotional, but our emotions come from wanting to succeed and wanting to really win, for this team in this city. So I think that's a great thing to have.
Well, we're reading the text from our Hawk fans, listeners, Dwight, that are saying they're loving hearing what you have to say and can't wait to see you in action, obviously, down at the arena and where you can be the focal point of this team. I mean, that's the thing. You touched on some of the things that happened in other stops in your career. This is the Dwight show now, man.
Well, no, this is the Hawk show. You know, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I don't want people to think that I'm all about myself. I've always been about team, and I just want us to be together and win together. You know, I understand that me coming home, a lot of people are going to be talking about me being here, but I want to make it very clear, you know, I'm all about winning. I'm all about team. And, you know, I think for the past couple of years, people have thought I've always been about myself, but that's never been me. For people who've known me my whole life, I've never been about myself. You know, I went to the smallest school in Atlanta, and, you know, not once did I tell anybody in that school I was going to the NBA because it wasn't about me. You know, it was about our team. It was about us coming together and winning the state championship at the time. And, you know, I've always been that way, you know. So if we come together and play as hard as we can every single night and we trust each other and we give everything we got, then we're going to win. And I know it starts with me. I have to come out there and bring the type of energy and effort for us to win.
Dwight, welcome home, man.
Thank you, brother.
Welcome home. We're glad to have you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the time today. I know it's been a whirlwind, but Mike and I were excited to get you on. And I'm telling you, you can ask people around town, man. We've been talking about you for months now, and so that it's happened. Thank you for coming home, man, and we appreciate it. And we can't wait to get you down there and watch you at Phillips, man.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate all the fans who have stuck with me from day one, and, you know, all the Hawks fans who were a little bit skeptical. You know, thank you. You know, I'm going to go out there and do my best, and I appreciate you guys.
Thanks so much. We'll talk soon, D.
Yes, sir.
Dwight Howard here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
This is number 8, Dwight Howard from your Atlanta Hawks. And the season is coming up, ATL. Get ready! The Hawks play here. Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
Oh, I'm putting that on today. Is it weird saying number 8, Dwight Howard?
It is.
Yeah, that's gonna be my next question.
Weird.
That's gonna be my one question I want you to put on, but keep going. Keep going.
I put it in there for a reason. I wanted you to.
This is weird. Which one am I on?